Very good afternoon and a happy new year to all of you. Hope that all your dreams and wishes come true in 2021. Thank you very much for all your support from all around the world. Keep it coming. Day 54 on the race course, and the news just now is that well, the lead for the top two for Yannick Besthaven and Charlie Dallin is now the biggest over between first, second and third that it's been over the entire course of the race now. Thomas Riong is now 470 miles behind the leader. But it is looking quite challenging for the top two at Cape Horn, expected there tomorrow night or very early Sunday morning. With big winds and big seas, it's going to be a really probably the most difficult to Cape Horn we've seen on the Vendée Globe for quite a long time for the leaders. My guest today is the unsinkable Irish entrepreneur Enda O'Coineen. Enda raced in the 2016-2017 Vendée Globe. Unfortunately, 4 years ago today, he was in a little bit of a pickle. He'd lost his mast, and that started another new adventure at the time for Enda. We'll join him in just a little while. Meantime, a quick look at the standings at midday today, French time. And as I said, Yannick Besthaven leading by 138 miles. The big distance, though, is between second and third now. Dallin's in second. Thomas Riong is now 470 miles behind the leader. Damien Sagan in fourth is 537 miles behind the leader, so the big stretch for the top two, increasing all the time. Boris Hermes in fifth. He is 618 miles behind the leader, and then this group between fifth and ninth, still very close. Benjamin Dutroux 625, so just 7 miles behind Boris. Jean Le Cam 630, so just 5 miles behind Dutroux. Isabelle Joske 641, 11 miles behind Le Cam. Maxime Sorel 673, so just about 30 miles behind Isabelle Joske. A little bit of distance back to Louis Burton, but not too much, just 30 odd miles to Louis Burton. Giancarlo Pedotti dropping to 11th behind Louis Burton now, but he's still close. He's only 6 miles behind Louis Burton as the Italian skipper. So very, very busy rounding of Cape Horn in a few days' time for the main peloton. Clarice Kramer is in touch in 12th. Then further down the table, well, Pip here, our English skipper on Medallia. She is up to 15th. She's passed Alan Rura. And is in great form just now, doing 14.5 knots. Alan Rura, as we know, has got this ongoing issue with his keel hydraulics and is slowed just now to just under 10 knots. Further down the table, 19th, Stéphane Le Deraison and Didac Costa having a good race. Not too much between them, and Didac hanging in there nicely, doing much the same kind of speeds as Stéphane Le Deraison, just now 19th and 20th. Kojiro Shiraishi going steadily in 21st. 115 miles between Koji and Didac just now, and Koji going just generally higher average speeds and should be able to catch up Didac in due course. Miranda Merrin, nice and steady. We spoke with Miranda, we'll see her very shortly, and Ari Hasela in 26th, as steady as ever. But Sebastian Destremaux in 27th, well, he has got ongoing problems with his steering. He's lost his tiller. He is drifting. He's got more problems, unfortunately, than solutions for Sebastian Destremaux just now on board Merci. But he is trying to sort things out as best he can just now. So that's the standings at the present time. One or two little problems in the fleet. Boris Herman had a small issue with his mainsail, as we discover here.
The contrasts out here on the oceans are so amazing. From this calm moment this morning, now I am fully up to speed. 2 reefs and J3, so very small sails. And when I just finished taking the second reef, I discovered a hole in the mainsail. I luckily was able to fix that quite quickly in half an hour, because it wasn't a good height, so I didn't need to lower the main or anything. I was just above the reef. So fingers crossed, no more problems with sails. Yeah, that's the wish for the new year. Cheers, guys. Happy New Year.
So happy New Year from Boris Herman. He's in 5th place just now and going well, preparing for his 4th rounding of Cape Horn. Now then, Enda O'Coineen, we all remember from the 2016-2017 race, but let's have a little recap of what Enda brought to that race. in some measure of culture and entertainment there was with Enda.
I came across this in my reading. It's a lovely little poem, and I think it reflects the ocean, and it's called A Wave of the Sea. I am a wave of the sea, and the foam of the wave, and the wind of the foam, and the wings of the wind. My soul is in the salt of the sea, in the weight of the wave, in the bubbles of foam, in the ways of the wind. My gift is the depth of the sea, the strength of the wave, the lightness of foam, the speed of the wind. Isn't that lovely? I am a wave of the sea, and the foam of the wave, and the wind of the foam, and the wings of the wind. My soul is in the salt of the sea, in the weight of the wave, in the bubbles of foam, in the ways of the wind. My gift is the depth of the sea, the strength of the wave, the lightness of foam, the speed of the wind. Oh, glorious. There are some good days and bad days, and this is one of the good ones. We've got a clear blue sky, very flat sea. We've got maybe 14 knots of wind, 15 knots, and we're doing about 12, 13 knots of boat speed.
Well, Enda, I have to say the Vendée Globe misses you.
Thank you. It's lovely to see everybody. It's a bit a trip down memory lane now. 4 years ago, looking back on that, the whole thing is very surreal. I suppose the Vendée has sort of three types of sailors: the full-on pros, the wannabe pros, and the adventurers and the dreamers. And fortunately or unfortunately, I was in the latter category. But it's an extraordinary adventure, and I think that's what we're all following the leaders. But there's a whole story around each boat and each skipper. So it's extraordinary now on secure dry land to actually look back on that. So it's lovely to reconnect, Andy, and lovely to talk with you and everybody else out there.
And do you have kind of any regrets about your Vendée when you look back? I mean, you completed the circle, as it were.
Well, never is a word you should never use. And I look back now, and because I did subsequently, I lost my mast, and then I got back in and unofficially finished and sailed around Cape Horn. And as the fleet approached Cape Horn now, it certainly cast back my own memory. That was certainly my hairiest experience, was actually around in Cape Horn. And I hope the weather doesn't get too extreme, because I'd love to see everybody get around safely. But yeah, it's really extraordinary to look back, Andy, and I don't regret any moment of it, the punishment or the hardship. But for every good moment, there's a bad moment. But fortunately, there are more good moments.
But just relive, if you don't mind, the New Year's Day then, back on 2016, 2017. You'd had a few problems, and you were just coming out of the island, weren't you?
Yeah, that's a time I'd like to forget.
Right.
But if you'd like me to relive it, I can. Essentially, I had problems, and I think I'd solved them. I went into the lee of Stewart Island off the south of New Zealand, and I was back in the race, and everything was just going brilliantly. And I had read about it, but in the Pacific, the wind can get up very suddenly. In the Southern Ocean, it builds, but it builds slowly. And I went from about 10, 15 knots to 40, 50 knots of breeze, and I was caught unawares. And, you know, in an instant, literally in an instant, probably in about 5 seconds, if you want to measure it, I went from being on top of the world, back in the race, very happy out, pointed towards Cape Horn, and then bam, within just that flash, my whole world fell apart. So I went from going well to being in an absolute survival mode, and it's not a situation I ever want to be in again.
Indeed, but at which point did you decide that you really had to finish your circumnavigation? Was it really at that point, or was it when you got in? And
no, not at that point. I mean, at that point, my whole goal was to finish, and then my next immediate goal was to survive the next few hours, and then it was the next few days. It was only after I got back into Dunedin in Otago Bay in New Zealand, I was in about 3 days, and I realized that, I had to do it. I had to finish this solo circumnavigation. So possibly the longest on record. But I managed to team up with another boat that had dropped out, and Marcus Hutchinson, if he's listening, did a superb job. And I teamed up with Le Souve du Nord, and it was a fabulous experience. So we joined a French and an Irish team, as it were. We rebuilt the boat, and while I was at it, we did a little circumnavigation of New Zealand, and I set out again sometime later, and rounded Cape Horn and finished unofficially. So, you know, I was a dreamer, adventurer. I wasn't your typical professional sailor doing the event, but you know, looking back on it, the whole event, and congratulations on your coverage. It's an extraordinary adventure. It's an extraordinary global adventure. So here we sit on New Year's Day, 2021. I'm quite fortunate. We're hiding out of COVID here. I'm off on an island off the coast of Africa, and very happy here. Happy not to be in the Southern Ocean, but it was a great privilege to have actually sailed through the Southern Ocean. And I think by looking at the videos and sharing both the exhilaration and the fear of the other sailors, it's just fabulous to relive it, Andy.
It was. I mean, one of the things that stood out for me about your race, Enda, was you really grew in stature and ability over the course of the race. I mean, obviously you were not, as you say, somebody who was very active in the IMOCA racing scene. You came into it very much as a, shall I say, a very, very strong seaman. And you got into the racing side of it a little bit more every day. And by the time you lost your mast, you really were very competitive.
Yeah, we were going great. I'd got up, you know, quite high in the fleet, just steady Eddie, and you know, that's the way it goes. But fortunately, I think there's less boats out this time. But in that race, I think there were nearly 50% out at that point. So hopefully now, touch wood, everybody will get safely around Cape Horn. But you know, you're there 24/7. You don't know what's going to happen next, and that's the extraordinary. I think living on the edge is the appropriate term.
It is. I mean, you had a few other moments, didn't you? You had big problems with your computers.
Yeah, that was true to a knockdown, and water got into the system. And, you know, I thought it was all over then. But human resilience is amazing. When you get these setbacks, like when I lost the mast, you just don't give up and you persevere to finish. And, you know, that's the challenge of the Vendée Globe.
Now, listen, Enda, I believe that, in fact, on this race, at some point you've owned just under 10% of the fleet.
Yeah, because I had my original boat, which I bought from Mike Goulding. And then when I lost the mast, it was made more sensible. Le Souve du Nord had ended up in Dunedin at the same time as me. So it was love at first sight. It took a few months to persuade the syndicate who owned the boat to join up. And then when I thought they weren't going to join up, in my determination to finish, I brought Rick Wilsonson's boat, which was the Great American 3. So it was a sort of a backup plan. And then fortunately, Francois Bouy and all my friends in Lille joined up with us. So yes, it wasn't my intention, but at one stage I'd owned 3 IMOCA 60s. So
well, listen,
and I'm quite happy not to own any at the moment because they're addictive.
I'm quite sure you made a few quid around on or a few euros on the deals, Enda.
Well, I wish I had, you know. But
listen,
if you want to make money, this is a very efficient way to lose it. So I think you have to work at something else to make it first.
Indeed. Listen, we'll talk to you in just 1 minute, but this is one of your previous IMOCAs, Miranda Merrin on board Compagnie de France, and we had a little bit of a surprise for Miranda today.
Hi Andy, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. It looks very serene on board Compagnie de France today.
It's very serene. It's possibly a bit too serene because the wind is dropping as expected. So straight after this, I have a sail change, and anyway, yeah, it's all fine. These are really nice conditions. Being totally spoilt for the first day of the year.
Listen, Miranda, I think I've got a little bit of a special present for you on New Year's Day. But go ahead, a special guest for you.
Well, I don't know. Will you think it's cool, Miranda? You've got.
Oh my goodness! Hello, how are you? Oh, what a shame I can't see you.
Yeah, well,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year,
Oh,
Miranda.
wow.
And how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, very well. just enjoying some really rather nice and unusually quiet conditions.
Yeah, well, stay safe and see you in a few weeks.
A few weeks. Miranda, a little present for you there. Put a big smile on your face, eh?
Oh, yeah, thank
I mean,
you.
just very quickly, a quick word about Andrew and his influence in your career.
Well, I met Andrew when Emma Richards, now Sanderson, whose home I'm about to sail past actually, because she lives in New Zealand, found Andrew at a corporate sailing dinner and persuaded him to sponsor her in the Transat Jacques Vabre in 1999. And Emma asked me to race with her, which I did. And that's where 22 years of friendship started. 99? Yeah, it's 22 years, isn't it? So that story goes back an awfully long way. And we have, Andrew's had a huge influence on women in sailing through his, really unflagging support over the years. And I think, I know he's been recognised for that, but it can never be said enough. And there you go, the start of a very long friendship. Good.
A nice way to start the new year, Miranda, and hope it's a great one for you. And stay safe, stay fast.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
So lovely to connect Andrew Pindar there with Miranda Merrin on New Year's Day. Andrew, as Miranda said, started supporting her way, and Emma Richards way back in 1999 has been a formative influence on her career ever since. So lovely to connect them. Enda, just talk to me a little bit about you've been a big supporter of Irish sailing over the years. Is there still a chance of bringing a sailor from Ireland into the Vendée Globe in the future, do you think? Or do you think the economic situation is too difficult now?
I think so, yes. There are a few potential contenders. I'd love to see Joan Malloy. She sailed my own boat subsequently in some regattas in the Mediterranean, and she's a very competent all-rounder. And Joan took delivery of a little baby, a COVID baby, one might say, which was very appropriate. And I would like to think, we have a great affinity for the ocean in Ireland. I think the challenge is in the French circuit, people start in mini transit and they work their way up. So you build a community of sponsors. And I suppose it's just the commercial challenges. We have some very talented sailors, but it's just the organization and the drive. And it needs some strong individuals, and it's challenging, but I would be very hopeful that we will get an Irish boat on the start line in the next event, 2024. And I think Ireland and France, we're all members of the European Union of 26, or unfortunately, this is the day that Britain have gone, and I think Britain is naturally a part of Europe. Britain is not moving, but it brings us closer to France. It brings us closer to Europe. We're all very individualistic. We all determine our own fate and where we're going. But as part of the bigger European community, I would like to think that Ireland would play its role in having a team in the next race. So, let's keep our fingers crossed. I will certainly do everything I can within reason. And it's not just an Irish team. I think it's part of that global international community. And I think that's the future of the Vendée, is to make a greater effort. It's been more difficult in COVID, but, we've got the United States, we've got Japan, we've got, Boris is playing a blinder for Monaco. So I think that's the future of the Vendée, is diversity, if you like. And this race certainly has a lot more diversity. We have some very strong female skippers. There were no female skippers in the last race, but I think it's also an opportunity to rethink the Vendée itself. I think it's a great success, but everything has to reinvent. And I think there's lots of ways that this great ocean adventure can be reinvented.
I'll come back to you in just 1 second, Enda. We'll maybe expand on that topic, but let's have a quick look at the weather for the approach to Cape Horn. Looking at the weather then, principally for the front of the fleet and the approach to Cape Horn, well, it's still looking pretty fruity for the leading duo, for Charlie Dallin and Yannick Bestavin. Starting off, we have this quick scat, the images of the cloud cover, and principally looking at this low pressure system, which is moving to the south-west in general terms, but it's not losing too much energy just now. At the moment, we have Yannick Besthaven, who's well in front of it just now. Charlie Dallin's done a good job staying in front of it as well. So they're very much in the northwesterly flow in general, and 25, 30 knots for them on the approach. Meantime, behind the centre of the low in the southwesterly flow, and increasingly westerly flow further you go back, Thomas Riong having to recalibrate, readjust his course and come down to the south to try and stay away from the centre of the low as much as possible and reposition relative to the fleet behind. So that's the situation just now. That is this morning. Now looking at tomorrow, so this is really the approach to Cape Horn. For Dallin and Besthaven, we can see they're quite close together relative to the Cape is up here, but they're still got 30, 35 knots, something like that, on the approach, and big seas. Now remember that the Drake's Passage is only about 500, 550 miles between Cape Horn and the Antarctic wastes, and so that's all the weather systems, and the sea is channeled there, and so you have very big confused seas. So we're looking at the two of them there, and you see Thomas Riong at this point just on the exclusion zone coming in the southwesterly and some distance behind, and then briefly just looking at the this shows the sea state, the projected sea state. So we're looking at 7.5, 8 meter waves perhaps, very confused seas for the leaders as they come into Cape Horn. So that's going to be late on Saturday night or first thing Sunday. It will really depend how much they decide to slow down on the approach. And they say the key thing really is the sea state as much as anything, as opposed to the wind. The wind, they'll be on a kind of wind angle of about 110 degrees, something like that. So the wind is not the problem. The problem is the sea state. They're going to have to monitor that very closely. So looking quickly now at the animation, if I can just set that up nicely. We're just watching here with, this is Yannick Besthaven and Charlie Dallin, and this is their approach to Cape Horn. This is this morning, and this is this big low system that we're talking about, just trying to stay just behind it, not get too far advanced into it. It'll be interesting to watch, in fact, how Charlie Dallin's routing is, whether he goes as far north as that or whether he tucks down to the south earlier, but then watching how Besthaven goes round the Falklands out, quite a close rounding of Cape Horn and also the Falklands. So that's in a few days' time, but quite challenging conditions then for the leaders when they go round Cape Horn. Indeed, challenging conditions for the leaders on Cape Horn. And tell us a little bit more about your Cape Horn rounding. I mean, we were obviously unable to see it in the detail we enjoy in the Vendée Globe, and equally you must have been relatively unsupported. You didn't have a race direction watching you.
Yeah, I think, Andy, you hit it on the nail in your commentary there. It's not so much the wind, though it's a factor. It's the seas. And, you know, I kind of, it was like holding my nose. I had about 50, 55 knots. I was scared out of my living daylights. And it's just that 12-hour window as you get close, because the wind is funneling down the Andes, and you've got these tides, and you've got the wind, and you've got the sea state. And there may be just one wave in 10,000 that's got your name on it, and you hit it the wrong way, and nothing in the world will save you from it. So you just keep your fingers crossed. I don't think what a lot of people realize is that very few boats go around Cape Horn these days. Most go through Panama Canal. It's only the ocean tankers and the cruise liners and the mad ocean racing sailors that go around. So it's never to be trifled with, and it looks like it's going to be a tough rounding. There's a lot of wind out there, and with the wind is the seas. So I'd be very nervous and anxious for most of the sailors, but it's just like holding your breath. And it's extraordinary then, once you do get around, very, very quickly, you get into the lee of the Tierra del Fuga, and it's a whole different, it's like going into a new climate. It's like a season change, if you like. And I remember looking back, and even after I'd rounded the corner, 20 hours prior to that, the wind was still 40 knots, just 100 miles south. And here I was in light 10, 15 knot breezes, So and yet it was still howling just that 100 miles further south. So it is a place of contrast, and it's probably the most hair-raising part of the entire race, I think. And that's all coming up for the fleet now. So hopefully they will get through it safely.
And so did you have a tracker then, Enda, or did you have people watching you, or were you, let's say, unsupported, relatively speaking?
Well, I think a lot of people would prefer that I didn't come back, so there was nobody. The world was a better place without me. But you know, yes, it was very, very different. The experience of sailing solo, you know, for the first part to New Zealand and then being totally on your own, then you got that real feeling of isolation. I did have a tracker, but, you know, even if I got into difficulty, there was nobody close by. So you were a long way from the nearest help. But fortunately, I had people stayed with me. Marcus Hutchin in particular, I'd like to pay tribute to Marcus and his tremendous contribution to the race, and my friends in Le Sous du Nord, so I did have some people behind me, but it was a very, very different kind of sailing, and but it was still performance sailing.
Indeed, Enda, our massive respect for completing your circle. A pleasure to speak with you today. We're going to have a quick look before we finish at one of the adventurers out there just now. Indeed, Ari Husela, our Finnish airline pilot, is going nice and steady, and he's enjoyed his new year on board.
Hi all, and welcome back on Stark IMOCA during Vendée Globe. And now it is 1st of January, first day of 2021. It feels so good, it feels so great. Last year was so good. I was able to start Vendée Globe and I'm still here doing the race. And in about 2 months, hopefully a bit sooner, I'm back in Sable d'Olonne, and then I can start to recover from this experience, which has been really exhausting since last actually 4 years. We have put all nice weather, night was good, and morning was really good, and now we have some grey skies, but winds around 20 knots, so it's good here. Super happy sailor here, and I had just my lunch, beef, potato and very nice. This is what I've done 54 days now, and still I can eat it, so I'm happy for that also. Maybe the secret is my dessert, which I get every time when I finish the food bag. Then I'm allowed to take 2 small spoons of this caramel beurre salad, typical French sweet, and it's my favorite one. Has been like 30 years already, as long as I have been doing these races in Brittany with Mini and with my Pogo 40 and with this IMOCA. So have a nice day there. Enjoy the 1st of January, first day of 21, and let's make this year as good as it can be, better than any before. Stay tuned. See you soon again. Ciao, ciao.
So Ari Husela there revealing his little addiction that's going on board IMOCA Stark on the Vendée Globe. Join us tomorrow. Our guest will be Paul Larson from the Medallia team, from Pip Hare's team, and also a world speed record holder in his own right. He will be joining us live tomorrow. In the meantime, a special thank you to our team backstage, the superstars in the regie and the production office. Do a fantastic job every day, and I'll leave you with them.